All right, and welcome to another episode of Shoulders Strong. Thought we'd give you a little background, or I would give you a little background information on just a snapshot of my journey through the fitness world, covering three topics: working out, eating, and supplementation. And not necessarily in those orders, so I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth and tell you a little bit about my evolution in each. And just to kind of say along those lines, like, you only know what you know, and you don't often know what you don't know. So keep a curious mind, stay hungry, and the thing that has propelled me the most on this journey has been my curiosity about my own body, my own human experience. So that being said, I'll go into talking about working out a little bit, and that is that I was introduced to working out through my older brother Pete Schultes, also a great exercise enthusiast and practitioner. He was played high school football and also a small guy. He's probably like 5'8", 175 pounds now as an adult. And I think when he played high school football, he was like 5'7", 135. Which was what I was when I graduated high school. So I was a small kid, and I used working out to give myself a strength advantage in sports, particularly in wrestling. And I also used exercise, strength training, weight training to prevent injuries and to work out while injured. I figured out really quickly that if I had a deficient part of my body, I could strength train it and bring it back stronger. I had a kid sprawl out on my neck and I was paralyzed. And so I built my neck to about a 20-inch neck by the time I was a freshman in college. So it was just huge, enormous, from doing bridging with weights and dumbbell presses with weights and things like that. I also dislocated my knee freshman year of wrestling and had to take some time off the mat for a while. So I rode my bike to keep my cardio high. I lifted weights, tried to keep my upper body strong. And when I went back to the mat, it showed. My performance improved. So that's kind of the other thing, is that I've always trained for performance at some level. Meaning I've always had a sport that I've done that I'm involved in or engaged in, so that I can kind of go, okay, am I doing something too much? Am I doing something not enough? And trying to find that sweet spot. The thing too that I've adopted as a wiser person than I did when I was a younger person is that exercise is a medicine, and every medicine has its ideal dose. Meaning, you're not going to overdose. And you're not going to underdose, but you're going to take the minimum effective dose to get the result or the response that you want on any given thing. And so I would have to say, when I was younger, I worked out too much. I trained too many hours, and I probably limited my top speed in track, which was my high school and college sport. College, I was a sprinter in a track club at San Luis Obispo. And in high school, I was a distance runner, but I didn't really think about getting stronger as a distance runner, and that's a whole nother story that if you're interested, I can tell at a later date. And I have to stop tapping my feet, and I know we'll edit that part out. But I've always had this need for high strength to weight ratio, and it's something that I'm kind of, I would say, good at anyways, because I have a light frame. I don't know if you know, but I got a small build. I'm 5'9", 185 pounds, probably about 10, 12, maybe even 15% body fat right now. That's another story, but I train primarily now with very low reps, high weight, or as high weight as I can move precisely. I use precise movement, and I do a combination of ultra slow training and ultra fast training to develop power, grace, agility. I do a lot of agility I would say that the staple, if you looked at my exercise and movement as a pyramid, the base of that pyramid for me is mobility and flexibility. Stay limber. And then on top of that is athleticism. So like I'm training all the time floor movement, like Qigong style floor movement, Tai Chi style floor movement. Why? Because it's a fun way to get around a house. Two, you can do it anywhere. And then lastly, I do tempo training every day. Tempo training is, moving rhythmically in time, just to make your body go tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Rhythm training is really important. So I do that every single day. And I actually supplement with strength training. Meaning I strength train now 2 to 3 days out of the week. I use kettlebells and bands primarily if I'm going to use resistance. But the main resistance that I use is my own body weight. And again, it's because it's always available. Eating, now touch on the topic of eating. When you're young, you try to eat as healthy as you think you can, and sometimes you get lucky. And I'll give you an example of that, and that is I had to cut weight as a high school wrestler, and I was cutting weight probably 3 or 4 months realistically out of the year. And during that time, I intrinsically knew to just cut out calorically dense food. So I would cut out bread. I would cut out any sweets, so 0 sugar during that time. I filled myself up with fresh fruits and vegetables. I try to have the leanest sources of proteins. I cut out fried foods. So I kind of did that intrinsically, right? And it wasn't until later as an adult finding out like the brilliance to that and the fact that I ate then closer to how I eat now. But then I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I do. But I kind of am happy that the body has a natural intuition when it comes to eating. Like we know what healthy food is, and we don't need someone to tell us what healthy food is. We can use our senses. We can smell, we can taste, we can grow our own food. We can know the people that grow the food that we don't grow ourselves, which is really an important part of health. And it's how I try to eat nowadays. Like I try to source food within 100 miles of where I live, and try to get food mostly from the farmer's market. I grow my own food in the summertime. I have a summer vegetable garden, things like that. And I would say that that's something that also just the intimacy of my connection with my food has improved over time. Meaning when I was young and growing up as one of 10 children, everything was about economy. How much food can you get for how much money? And so there's a limiting factor to that equation, right? And that factor is quality, and that factor is sometimes being healthy is not eating more food, but eating less food, but healthier food. And so nowadays, I spend my money on quality, not quantity. And that's a huge part. And that evolved immensely too, and I'll touch on that with supplementation here in a moment. But one of the things that kind of drove my eating when I was trying to gain weight as a bodybuilder were just lean forms of protein. I didn't care, about the chicken I got. If I got a big bag of frozen chicken or cans of tuna, I didn't care about how the tuna was caught. Did dolphins die? Like these things. And it was just because I didn't have yet that awareness. And now that I do have that awareness, I'm very thoughtful about where my food comes from, especially if there's death on the other side of it, in the form of like an animal being killed. And it's like, I want to know that that animal was raised in a healthy way, and that the raising of that animal positively contributed to the environment, meaning the farm that the animal was raised on was a regenerative farm. So it built topsoil and helped to sequester carbon. And then, was that animal healthy? Like, did it lead a good life? And having that relationship specifically with meat and then with vegetables and like getting the quality, it makes you more intimately connected to your food. So the food that you do eat feels better, and how you spend that fuel feels better. I fast a lot more. I started cutting weight, and I would probably say I have small hands. I would probably have bigger hands and feet if I didn't diet so much in high school and sleep deprive myself. I had a paper route, and that was a killer. So that's for another episode. So supplementation and how supplementation fits all in this. Supplementation didn't really come on my radar until college and as a bodybuilder, and wanted an edge, performance edge. So the first thing that I ever took was creatine, multivitamins, and fish oil. And still to this day, I would say that that's the foundation of my supplementation, plus or minus some herbs, amino acids, and other things. My knowledge has vastly increased. My care, as far as, again, using this kind of idea of minimum effective dose, like how much return on my investment can I get for the money that I spend on supplements? And it's something that I think everyone needs to take in consideration. And then, and again, this will be for a later topic. It's like, what do I always have on hand? Like, what's always in my supplement box? And I say supplement box because I have them organized in a tray. So, the idea that you need to supplement is something that's sold to you, and I just kind of want to make that clear. But there are benefits to supplements of foods that you will not ever eat, especially like certain herbs. You're just not ever going to eat them. You're not going to be able to go to your local farmer's market and find them and take them home and cook them. And then there's certain things that people don't find tolerable. And I'll give you an example of that. Great nutrient, grass-fed beef liver. Grass-fed beef liver is very, very high in nutrition per the size. And if you can get it freeze-dried, you're actually getting more nutrition in that versus if you brought it home and cooked it, which is the other thing, and that is some people don't find liver palatable. They don't want to eat it. They're like, no, I'm not eating that. It seems gross to them. But if you have a woman, say, that's anemic, and she starts supplementing with grass-fed beef liver in a very short time, the anemia is gone. And it's because it contains high amounts of heme iron, the most bioavailable form of iron. And that can be the case for, say, a vegan high school endurance athlete. Now, they may question the whole thing. And yes, could you do that with beets? Questionable. The research is out there. Go find it if you want the best combined beets and grass-fed beef liver. Dun, 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 dun. Also a topic for another thing. But yeah, why you supplement. And we'll kind of get more into that, and I'll tell you how and why I supplement now versus how and why I supplemented then. But when I was younger, it was what will work, And today, it's the same, what will work. Now I would say that I'm a bit more of a connoisseur now than I was then. And it goes back to a shared common philosophy in how I train, how I eat, and how I supplement. Less is more if done right. Meaning, if you put an emphasis and a focus on quality, you can really, really reduce your quantity. And like, for example, with strength training, it leaves you more time, right? I don't want to spend 10 hours in the gym anymore to maintain a certain strength. Now, if I can maintain that certain strength and invest half an hour of time, that's what I want. Same thing with eating. If I say, okay, the only restriction to my diet is the radius that I can draw on a map, and then I can eat everything within that radius, that makes far more sense than I'm going to follow this diet or that diet or, whatever. Eat fresh, eat locally, eat seasonally, eat mostly plants, have meat occasionally that you know where it comes from, and that's about it. So quality over quantity. And that's true for supplements, working out, and eating. Alrighty, that is it for now. I was probably tapping my feet and moving my hands way too much. But I just want to say, if you like this, and you will like this, smash the subscribe button. Arrows pointing over. My nephew Clayton's going to insert graphics later. Schultz is strong all day long. We love you long time.